I am the king of dreams and nightmares. When the waking world leaves you wanting and weary, sleep brings you here to find freedom and adventure.
In 1916, the Lord of Dreams, also known as Morpheus, or the Sandman, gets captured in Witch Cross by Roderick Burgess, a sorcerer who wanted to summon death to restore his dead son. With the Sandman unable to supply what he wants, Roderick seizes his sand, helm, and ruby, instruments of his power, and places him in a binding circle. As soon as Morpheus is captured, an epidemic of sleeping sickness breaks out all over. Having always fancied autonomy from the Sandman, the Corinthian, who is an escaped nightmare, visits Roderick and tells him how to keep the Lord of Dreams incarcerated forever. 10 years later, the instruments of Morpheus's power have brought wealth and affluence to Roderick's family, but it gets stolen by his mistress Ethel after birthing his child. Afterward, Roderick dies during a fight with Alex. In all this time, the Sandman remains incarcerated, until, fortuitously, the binding circle gets broken a few years later. He escapes his prison, punishes Alex, and returns to his realm, the Dreaming, to find it in shambles. Lucian, the head librarian of the Dreams Castle, breaks down everything that has happened in the Sandman's absence for the past century. Intent on restoring the damage his absence has done, he visits Cain and Abel to request their gargoyle named Gregory, so he can replenish his strength and summon the Fates, a trio of nigh-omniscient goddesses. Once summoned, he asks them about the whereabouts of his instruments of power, to which they reveal that his sand pouch is with an individual named Johanna Constantine, his helm in possession by a demon, and his ruby passed down from a mother to a son. In the waking world, the Corinthian's already aware of the Sandman's release, and visits Ethel to inquire about the whereabouts of his instruments. He finds out, to his dismay, that she traded Morpheus's helm and sand while the ruby was stolen by her son, John. When he tries to hurt Ethel, he gets hurt by her amulet of protection, a protection charm she got from trading the helm to a demon. Afterward, she pays her son a visit in the psychiatric hospital. The Sandman locates Johanna Constantine, the woman who he last heard possessed his sand, as she tries to perform an exorcism. There, the Sandman almost gets a chance to strike a bargain with the demon to get his helm, but Johanna banishes it before they can reach a conclusion. Taking his loss, the Sandman pursues the location of the pouch of sand, the original reason he came to see Johanna. Though she proves elusive at first, she finally takes him to get it from her ex-girlfriend, Rachel, who had been using the sand which had left her in a state of near death. Agreeing to put Rachel to peaceful sleep and eventual death, John takes his pouch and leaves. In John's room, Ethel admits that his father is Roderick Burgess, and that he was a bad man, also telling him that Morpheus is coming for his ruby, of which only John knows its whereabouts. Having come clean about her past, she gives John the amulet of protection, so he won't have to use the ruby. However, by doing so, she also lifts her aging protection and sacrifices herself to protect her son. Now in possession of the amulet, John leaves the guarded psychiatric hospital, killing anyone who tries to harm him. When he gets out, the Corinthian shows up and offers him some help. The Sandman and his new raven, Matthew, go to hell to retrieve his helm. Meanwhile, back on Earth, John almost gets hit by a car while crossing the road. A passerby, Rosemary, having seen the event, stops her car and offers him a ride. She learns John is a murderer during the trip, but is deterred from doing anything else aside from taking John to the ruby's location. In hell, the demon that has the Sandman's helm, a Duke of Hell named Choronzon, challenges him to a fight and chooses Lucifer Morningstar as his champion. The odds are against Morpheus, as he's not yet at full strength, but he takes on the devil anyway and wins the game of minds, taking his helm. Afterward, he returns to Earth and goes for the ruby. When he finds it, though, it surprisingly repels him. It's revealed later that John had altered the ruby so only he could use it. John then shows up while the Sandman suffers the throes of pain caused by the ruby's attack, takes the ruby, and gifts Rosemary the amulet for her own protection. John goes over to a diner and experiments closely on the occupants, stripping away their inhibitions to bring alive his idea of an honest world without lies or pretense. The ruby takes effect as the occupants of the diner start to speak and act without restraint. Everyone makes out with each other and then kill themselves when the chaos John's causing the world outside seeps inside. Afterward, the Sandman enters the diner and takes John to the dreaming. John intends to destroy Morpheus by destroying the ruby, but unknowingly only releases the last of the Sandman's power, restoring him to his full strength. With John defeated and desperate, Morpheus takes him back to the psychiatric institution and puts him to eternal slumber. Dream visits his sister, Death. There it's revealed that the Sandman has other siblings too: Desire, Despair, Destiny, Delirium, and Destruction, collectively also known as the Endless. The two discuss things ranging from Morpheus's capture to a family dinner that was organized while he was locked up by Roderick. They talk about humans, and there's a flashback to 1389, where Death was also trying to help her brother understand humans. They're at a tavern, and while they're there, Morpheus is amused by Hob, a man who has no intention of dying. He encourages his sister to grant his wish, and he and the man strike an agreement to meet at the tavern every 100 years. Each time they meet, the man seems only more eager to live. The Sandman missed the last meeting because he was captured by Roderick. However, after his discussion with his sister, he heads over to the location and still finds Hob there. In 2015, a young Rose and Jed Walter were separated from each other during a divorce between their parents and never got to see each other again. Rose has been trying to reconnect with her brother ever since, but to no avail. A recent family history interview leads her face to face with her grandmother, Unity, a survivor of the sleeping sickness pandemic. Meanwhile, it's revealed that Desire and Despair are hatching new ways to destroy Morpheus and planning to use Rose in accomplishing their goals. Rose then meets up with Unity, who promises to let Rose use her resources to find Jed wherever he is. But finding Jed is difficult both physically and in the dream world. At the Dream Castle, Morpheus learns Rose Walter is the Dream Vortex, a dangerous phenomenon that sucks in dreams and ultimately destroys both the dreaming realm and the waking world. Wary of Rose's powers, Morpheus sends Matthew to monitor her. Meanwhile, Rose gets warned by the Fates to be wary of the Corinthian and the Sandman. Elsewhere, Jed is living under oppressive and abusive foster parents. In the wake of her growing abilities, Rose is able to cross into the dreaming world and connects with the Sandman. He educates her about her nature, and afterward promises to help her find Jed, who is in the company of one of his rogue nightmares, Golt. Having learned that Rose is the Dream Vortex, the Corinthian pays her a visit. However, she's not in when he comes, but he finds one of the flyers she printed to find her brother, and decides to help her get Jed in order to worm his way into her good graces. Rose's powers grow exponentially, allowing her to move into the dreams of others. Eventually, she finds the Sandman, and they find Jed and Golt, with Golt explaining that she only tried to help Jed by providing an escape from his abusing foster parents. Nevertheless, the Sandman takes Golt away, while Rose gains Jed's address in the waking world. Meanwhile, Lita, Rose's friend, wakes up from one of her numerous dreams with her dead husband, only to discover that she's actually pregnant like she was in the dream. When Rose then gets to Jed's location, it is too late, as the Corinthian has already killed his foster parents and whisked him away. Rose and Lita tell each other their experiences in their respective dreams. After realizing that her powers are responsible for Lida's pregnancy, Rose offers to fix things. But Lida refuses, as she's decided to leave with Hector, her husband, in her dreams. Just then, the Corinthian contacts Rose and tells her where to find Jed. One of Rose's co-tenants, a man named Gilbert, offers to drive her over to the hotel where she'll find her brother. On the way there, Rose falls into a dream and meets Lida and Hector. Their reunion, however, is interrupted by the Sandman, who sends Hector back where he belongs and promises to return for Lida's baby, since it's a property of the dream world. Rose then wakes from the dream after confronting the Sandman and goes to the hotel with Gilbert in tow. They reach the hotel for Jed, but Gilbert decides to leave when he realizes that the Corinthian is there as well. He returns to the dreaming, revealing to be the third missing dream, and goes on to inform Morpheus that the Corinthian has Rose and that he's been killing humans. With the Corinthian having earned Rose and Jed's trust, he convinces her not to trust the Sandman and to do anything possible to destroy him. He leaves them for his keynote speech at the serial killer convention. During the speech, the Sandman appears and finally destroys the Corinthian, after having convinced Rose for help in restoring the dreaming. Rose and Jed then leave for the hospital where Lida is going into labor. While Rose sleeps, the wall between dreams crash, throwing Rose's friends into each other's dream. After that, a vortex sucks them all in, destroying their dreams, and she can't save them no matter how hard she tries. The Sandman appears, telling her that the only way her friends and brother get to live is if she, the dream vortex, is destroyed. When Unity finds herself in the dream castle, she learns she was meant to be the vortex, not Rose. Afterward, she and Lucian go after Morpheus, stopping him from killing Rose. Realizing how much the stability of the world depended on the absence of the vortex, Unity sacrifices herself for Rose, since she was supposed to be the original vortex. After learning that the man who had made Unity pregnant had golden eyes, Morpheus realizes that the man was in fact Desire, and that she is the one behind the dream vortex. He goes on to confront her, warning her that there will be consequences if she ever tries to mess with him again. Afterward, Morpheus continues to make positive changes in his kingdom, while Lucifer prepares to wage war against the dreaming and the waking world. After having experienced her kittens being killed by her owners, a Siamese cat gathers a group of cats in a graveyard and tells them of her dream, in which she met the Sandman, and that he had told her the story of how cats once ruled the world over humans, and how humans changed that world by dreaming to be free. Wanting to repeat what the humans had done and set the cat species free, she tells the gathered cats that if only 1,000 of them can dream, then cats could be free from their tyrannical human overlords. In August 2018, a writer, Richard Maddock, in dire need of inspiration for his next novel, is gifted Calliope, one of the Muse sisters, by Erasmus Fry, an old writer. After pleading for her help to inspire him and serve him as his muse, Richard resorts to force, and for a while enjoys the fame and affluence that comes from having written great books inspired by Calliope. Calliope is helpless until she learns of Morpheus's, her ex-husband, escape from capture, with whom she had a son named Orpheus, whom had unexpectedly died. She summons him then, and he asks Richard to free her. However, when Richard is unwilling to do so, he torments him with a barrage of ideas that almost drive him insane, resulting in Richard freeing Calliope. Afterward, Calliope and Morpheus separate on good terms, hoping to meet each other again.
Then, may I ask, what are you going to do?
Something that I have never done before. Something that will make God absolutely livid. And bring Morpheus to his knees.